You're listening to Career Compass with Patrick and Cha-Cha on Base 101.1 FM.
I was wondering what happened. I've been interviewed, I've gotten there, I've done all of these things. How do we get from that point of being seen and physically seeing your papers, then seeing you physically? What causes us to lose that job?
Yeah, I mean, so there's so many reasons why sometimes it just falls through. But like I said last week, the job of your CV is to get you in the door, get you into that room, into that interview session where you're supposed to sell dreams.
Right.
Dreams. I'm not going to mention how you need to sell the dreams.
You have to.
But, the point is you're there to sell yourself, right?
Uh-huh.
And it's a tough competition out there. You're not the only person they're meeting with. They're probably having the same conversation with more than a couple other individuals who have comparable qualifications, comparable education, and you need at that point in time to be able to say, look, this is the value I bring to the table that no one else can. And I think today there's so many conversations around interviews, look, if we go into all the possible scenarios and questions that they could ask you in an interview, that will be here for the next 1 week talking just about, because there are 1,000,001 questions that could come up in an interview and 1,000,001 possible ways to answer it. But to narrow it down, I'll just talk about 3 things today. 1, the pre-interview, the actual interview and post-interview, because many people think it's just the interview, but there's so many things that need to happen before the interview and so many things that help you seal the deal after the interview. Ignoring those things is what might reduce your chances of landing the job.
I need to know what things you need to prepare yourself for an interview. I'll just assume that when it's time for an interview, they've seen my CV, so they just want to see my face. It's true now. You've seen my CV, you've seen what I can do. You just need to see my face to see if I'm a real person. So what do we need to do to prepare for an interview?
Exactly. Like I said earlier on, there's a lot that goes on before the interview, the actual interview itself. So first of all, you need to do your research. Okay?
Right.
Do your background check on the company itself. All right. What does the company stand for? Its culture, values, recent projects that the company's done. It will be useful for you to familiarize yourself with that. Something that I always do and always works for me to help calm the nerves before the interview. If possible, make sure you've met the person interviewing you before the interview. Look, it's easy.
How is that possible?
Hold on. So the email that was sent to you, there's a name. Find out who the hiring manager is. This information is there on LinkedIn. Just go to LinkedIn. Find out who. So if you are applying for the role of an accountant, find out who the CFO of the company is.
All right.
He will most likely be the hiring manager. If you are applying for the role of give me any role.
Sales rep,
go on LinkedIn, find out who the sales manager is. See their picture, look at their profile, their background, look them up on social media. Find out things that you could talk about, that you can start a conversation with, that you can connect with this person as a human being.
Okay.
So because first of all, before we are hiring managers, we're human beings. Oh, congratulations you find out on social media the person is a Chelsea fan, right? In the interview you can pinch it there. How markets now? Last Chelsea's making a good showing. These things would set you apart, right? And then once you've met the person technically beforehand, right, is no longer a stranger to you.
When you said meet the person, I was thinking you should find out where the person is and show up. That's stalking.
You're not stalking or cyber stalking the person, but you're just trying to find out who you're meeting with before then. If it's a senior role, of course, find out who the CEO is, find out who owns the company, what their values are, and stuff like that would help you make a lasting impression when you get to the actual interview. Then next, you understand the actual job role. What are are there any niche skills you're looking for, right? So Do you need to be, if it's a finance role, do you need to be ICANN certified? Is there any certification that you need? And then you now connect to yourself, like, oh, do I have these particular certifications? Or find out if there are any particular unique responsibilities. So if you say finance, for example, is it corporate finance? Is it financial reporting? Is it payables, receivables, treasury? You know, so within each profession there are specializations, right? So you find out if there's a particular specialization or specialized skill set that they are aiming to look out for in a candidate. And if you have those skill set, those niche skill set, oh man, just put that foot forward. So, and then again, I must say this, many times people goof at interviews due to lack of practice. Okay, practice makes perfect. Look, that's what mock interviews are there for. All right, have a mock interview. One question that you're guaranteed to be asked in every interview is your self-introduction, your self-pitch. Practice your self-pitch, like what's that thing called, your 30-second elevator pitch, right? So have a 30-second elevator pitch of yourself. Talk about yourself. And then finally, I'd say, look, logistics and presentation. So dress how you want to be addressed, okay? An interview is a business meeting, okay? Sometimes many of us get it wrong. Whether the interview is physically or virtually, look, dress business-like. The fact that it's a virtual interview doesn't mean you should show up for the interview in your PJs, or you know, you're just loosely clad for the interview. You want people to take you seriously. You want to build them at the end of the day. So look like you're what the bill you're going to put on the table. And then logistics, there's nothing more frustrating than the hiring team waiting for the candidate to arrive. Oh no, that's, you know, factor in, we know Lagos traffic is unpredictable. So better to arrive 30 minutes early than to arrive 30 minutes late. I tell you, one thing I do is I always try to arrive early, and then I go to the restroom, and I mean, even for a guy, you freshen up. I mean, make sure you're smelling good, make sure there's no sweat, make sure, you know, you're calm and composed, and then they're calling you in, and you know, it's better they are the ones apologizing to you for keeping you waiting, than you're coming in panting, disheveled, and
I'm sorry,
and then you're starting the conversation with, oh, I'm sorry I'm late. Actually, you know, when you start the conversation with actually, there was breakdown on the road, you know, it's just not a good way to start the conversation.
I was going to ask you, so you did mention that as a person you should be able to sell yourself. Sometimes some people can get carried away and talk a lot about themselves. Is that a deal breaker? Is there a red flag in while trying to secure a job? Because I can go on and on and on and on and on about myself. So is there some things you should say and some things you shouldn't say?
All right, so now we're going into the actual interview, but so I'll start off with this. Communication is key, right? But what you're communicating is more key. So when you're doing your self-introduction, look, they don't need to know your family history, how your father died when you were 5 years old, and how you had to be responsible for your family growing up, and you know, all those stories that touch. They don't need to know all those stories that touch. Really and ideally, when you're doing your self-introduction, you need to talk about three things: your education, your experience, and your exposure. Right. So what kind of education have you gotten prior to this point that puts you in a good position for the role? What experience have you gathered? Oh, so this role requires 10 years experience in finance and blah blah blah. Oh, I have 12 years experience. So your experience, and then your exposure. So what kind of projects have you done? What kind of companies have you worked with? What kind of responsibilities have you handled locally, on a global scale, internationally? I mean, that kind of exposure is what. So those are the 3 E's every hiring manager wants to hear. So craft your conversation, craft your pitch to sell yourself on those 3 E's: your education, your experience, and your exposure.
Now,
that's what you need to do.
After I've crafted all this, I've done my mock interviews, I've interviewed myself, I've spoken to myself, like say at the Colo, I've done all of that.
Yeah.
I'm looking in the mirror, talking. What do I do next once I enter this room? I mean, it could be very intimidating when someone wants to get a job and you go into that room. Sometimes you expect to see one person and you see like 15,000 people. They're just looking at you like, hey, what you got? So how do I create an impression, a strong impression, where they're gonna feel me after and say, this one like where they soap.
In fact, I'll give this story. I remember one interview I went for, right? And I came into the interview and I saw these, I'll call them grandmas and grandpas, because that's what they look like to me. And you know, when you come in and they have their glasses on the bridge of their nose and they're looking at you, they tilt their head downwards and they're looking at you upwards, and like, whoa, okay. And then I stepped in the interview and they asked me questions, and there was a flip chart and they said, please, could you put your answers in the flip chart? It was so intimidating. In fact, you're barely answering one question, another person is trying another question. Man, I mean, yes, so I feel you when you say these interviews can be pretty intimidating. And these are some steps, tips and tricks that have helped me, and I'll share them. So first of all, your first impression, right? If you come in, I mean, you come in dressed to impress, first of all. You know, that's your first impression. Come into the room, confidence,
right?
All right. You see, they say we don't look like what we've been through, right? Be shaky inside, but maintain steez outside, right? Look, just hold on to your steez like you're holding on for dear life. You know, have a confident handshake. Don't offer a limp handshake when you want to shake the hand, like grab it and shake it.
Who you be?
Exactly. I'm here. Grab the hand, shake it, maintain eye contact. I mean, it's in this day and age, it's a breath of fresh air. When you're speaking to someone and you're maintaining eye contact, you're telling the person, look, you have my attention.
Right.
I need yours, right? So it gives a good impression. And then one thing, you know, we're in Nigeria now. We like respect. You know, we can use respect to eat swallow. So
That'd be nice.
Give respect. It doesn't cost you anything. Good morning, sir. Good morning, ma'am. You know, my name is this. You know, of course, we're not. You don't have to dobale or, you know, go traditional. But
I thought you were gonna do that.
No, not at all.
When you enter the place with the grandmas.
No,
mommy.
No, mommy. No, you don't need to go that, you know, local. But good morning, sir. Good morning, ma'am. Pleasure to be here. And if you've done your research, oh, ma'am, it's an honor to be here. I am glad to finally meet you. I've been following XYZ projects you've done. Trust me, that just lights up the room. Oh, really? You know, you stick out. Okay,
Right.
They'll remember, oh, that young man that knows of my projects, blah blah blah. Okay, then they want to get to know you. Then your communication, use clear, concise, articulate communication, right? Avoid slangs, please. It's a business meeting, so speak businesslees. if I may coin that word. No slangs, no jargon. Speak like you want to be heard and understood.
Right.
Don't speak at the same time. Don't come and bamboozle of them with English that they need an encyclopedia to understand what you're trying to say. Just use simple, clear, concise communication. No babble, no ramble. Go straight to the point. They ask a question, go straight to the point, give an answer to the question. I'm going to be a little technical here. So there are two methodologies to answer any interview question. Let me just go slightly technical. There's what you call the STAR method or the CAR method. The STAR method stands for STAR. S stands for situation, task, action, and results. All right. So when you're asked a behavioral question like, oh, so how did you handle a challenge in declining sales? Okay. So give a situation. Oh, I've been in such a situation before where my company, we had a loss on the previous year, and the sales team was charged with improving our revenue. All right. The task. What was your responsibility as the sales manager? I was given a target of 4 billion naira, right? Action. What actions did you take? So I was able to mobilize a crack sales team. We drafted a sales strategy. We got our niche market. Then finally the results. At the end of that financial year, we surpassed our target by 50%. We were able to achieve 6 billion naira in sales revenue, out of which I was personally responsible for 2.5 billion naira as my own contribution to that revenue result. So that's the STAR methodology. Of course, the CAR methodology is similar to it: the challenge, the action, and the results. So that methodology will help you stop rambling. Okay, you ramble, and then you lose your audience. So that is one of the ways to answer that particular question. And then, look, if you are asked a question you don't understand, please, rather than giving an answer that is irrelevant, it's best to ask questions. Oh, sorry, could you please clarify that question? It's not rude, it's not out of place. Seeking for clarification, or you didn't get, sorry, could you come again? Could you take that question again? You know, it's seeking for clarity is not a minus.
I was going to think that to say this one no get sense now. You don't understand my English.
Not at all. Is it not worse off if you give the wrong answer to the right question than you ask for clarification so that you can give the right answer to the right question?
Fair enough. Sometimes some people don't know that they are able to ask questions during an interview. Some people do not ask. Would you advise that a job applicant should ask their employers or prospective employers questions?
Don't just ask any question. Ask thoughtful questions. All right. Show them through your questions that you are interested in more than just the salary. All right. Show them that you've done your homework. Show them that you're really interested in working with them, working with the company, contributing value. Show them that, man, look, I've done my background, I want to be here. And that's one thing thoughtful questions would help you do. An interview, I'll keep saying this, an interview is not an interrogation. It's a two-way conversation, right? Where they are trying to find out information about you if you're the right one, and you as a candidate, you're also trying to find out information if they are the right one.
Some people don't see it like that. They feel like once I get this job opportunity, let me just go for it, not knowing whether the company themselves are, share the same values with them.
Exactly.
Now there's another situation where a lot of people try to shy away from, which is when it comes to salaries. Do I tell this employer what I was earning before? Do I tell this employer what I want to earn? And does my opinion of my salary expectations change if I'm going to be employed, or also change what they might have had in mind to pay me? Say, for instance, I tell you that I want 100,000 naira, but you wanted to pay me 200,000. Would I now reduce the fact that, would you now come and say, okay, take 100K because you asked for it?
Interesting there. So now we're talking numbers, yeah?
Igbo babe now.
Yes, so as in that is the most important thing. You didn't come to Lagos to count flyover. So yeah, let's talk about the numbers. How do we handle this? So I'll start off with this global best practice. So, and that's another way of saying, if the world were flat, if everything was fair and right in the world, an employer really has no business asking you for your current salary and what you earn. It has no relevance and no bearing on what they are recruiting for. Right. The real crux of the conversation is whether you are a good fit for the role and whether you fit their budget.
Right.
And at that point, it's meant to be a negotiation. Okay, but many times, over here, because our regulations are loose, so we're not really talking interview. I mean, those questions to ask, because like I said, that's a 1 week conversation. But I'd say there are questions globally that are illegal to ask. There are questions that are unethical to ask in an interview. And really, salary, what you earn, is an unethical question when you're talking of best practice. Nigeria, we're getting there, right? We're not there yet. So in Nigeria, I'm guilty.
See the way they look.
I'm guilty as charged. Yes, I'm
I
guilty
remember
as
your
charged.
mouth moved.
Off your mic, off your mic.
He said,
off
"I'm
your
not
mic,
there." I
off
just
your
look at
mic.
myself. This man.
Off my mic. Comrades. Okay, yeah, so I admit I'm guilty of that as well. But I'll give you a hack around. There's a workaround. So even let me leak secrets. Even we HR professionals know that it's unethical to ask that question. So there's a smart pushback. So rather than giving, so if you don't respond, you may look, you may present yourself as not forthcoming, and that's not a good impression. So rather than giving a specific figure, you can say, oh, my salary is within this to this range, and I have confidentiality, I'm bound by confidentiality clauses with my employer not to reveal what they pay as remuneration. So at that point, they have to respect boundaries.
I just remembered my response when you asked me that. I remember.
Once you air dirty laundry on,
I will do it now.
It's real life. Cha-cha, come
I
on.
just remembered my response, but
Yes.
I won't say it.
I think that's what you said, yeah?
No, my response was, what they were paying me doesn't matter.
Exactly, yes.
Yeah,
You didn't
but,
divulge,
yeah.
and I didn't push.
No, you didn't. You just moved on to the next one.
Exactly. So yes, I'm professional. Thank you. So yes, the truth is we know a professional pushback when we get it, and you don't. Any sound HR professional will let it go.
Right.
So smart way to handle it is to give a range and state, look, I'm bound by confidentiality issues.
Right.
I want to honor those confidentiality constraints with my current employer and keep my remuneration private.
What if I'm in an interview and right there and then I'm offered a salary and the salary is not enough for the next step that I want? What do I do? And I still want the job.
Okay, so I'll say this. First of all, never reject a job because of salary upfront. Don't. So when you're giving a low offer, do not immediately reject it. Okay, you're expecting 3 naira and they gave you 2 naira 50 kobo. Don't say, is that what I asked for? No. 3 naira or nothing. No. It's an offer, right? Ask for time to think about it. First of all, be polite. Appreciate the offer.
Yeah.
It's money. It may not be money to you, but it is money to somebody else. Especially in this economy. Especially in this economy. So 2 naira 50 kobo is money to some people.
It is.
Yeah, it will put food on the table. So be respectful, be polite. I said that we like respect. We can use respect to eat swallow in Nigeria. So thank them for the offer. Express your appreciation, but ask for time to consider it.
Right.
Okay. So let it stew a bit. Do they really want you? Find out if if they really want you. Do younger small.
I beg you, that younger advice.
But be know where you're pushing it. You're not sounding desperate. You're not sounding rude.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
So ask for time to consider their offer. Then, instead of rejecting it, come back with a counter offer. Remember, I said it's a negotiation.
Right.
It's a give, a take. You give some ground to gain some ground. You gain some ground to give some ground, both ways. And a negotiation is only successful when both parties come to the table and are willing to compromise. We're looking for a win-win. And I'll give this tip and trick. The world has evolved to a point where salary is actually flexible. So, for example, you can do trade-offs. You could say, I'm married, my spouse has a robust HMO plan, for example, and I'm already registered on my spouse's HMO plan, you know what, can you cash the HMO? So when you're giving an offer, ask for the full breakdown of the offer. Don't just say, okay, it's 2.5 naira 50 kobo, right? Say, okay, can I see the breakdown of this 250 kobo?
Right.
Okay, so I noticed that there's a 700k HMO benefit. You know what? I don't need the HMO, right? Can you encash this for me? If there's an official car, a status car, you could say, look, you know what? I'm good with my car. I have a good car. I'm comfortable with it. So could you encash the status car allowance? If there are other allowances, find out. Look, there may be some allowances that don't come with your monthly paycheck. So ask for that. Oh, there's a bonus. Oh, there's a leave allowance. Oh, there's a cost of passage. Oh, there's this, there's that, and then sum it up.
Right.
You find out that at the end of the day, it may actually be more than the 3 naira you're looking for. So it's a negotiation, it's a give and take. You can just look for trade-offs.
Right.
Like I said, if you're able to take advantage of the trade. Oh, how many days a week do I need to come to the office?
Right.
All right, you're trading time for money.
You know what's interesting about Career Compass is that every day I see here, I learn something new with you. After you get into the interview, you sit down, you chit chat, you talk about salary, which is one of the toughest things in an interview. Right after that, after the interview, once we've done our back and forths, what are the things I could do to, post interview to seal the deal? I mean, sometimes some people feel like once you're done with an interview, you walk out the door and you just wait to be called back. You just wait to hope and pray. You go home and say, rah, 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 rah. You're out there praying, say, God, the enemies should blind my enemies or whatever. Let the next candidate not, whatever it is. But what do I do to stand me out?
Great. So, first of all, a thank you note. Thank you note, thank you SMS, thank you email. However they reached out to you, you use the same medium to reach out back to them. So if they reach out to you via phone call, you have a number to call back. If they reach out to you via SMS, you can call or SMS them back. If they reach out to you via email, social media, any of your social media handles, use the same medium to reach out to them. Oh, it was a great I had a great conversation, very insightful, mentioned some things. Oh, I learned 1 or 2 things in this interview. It was awesome finally getting to meet an industry icon like yourself. Blow some hot steam, like I said, we like our respect. We can use it to eat swallow, so give it to them. Lay it on them. Oh, it was an honor to meet a captain of industry like yourself. I am honored to meet you. I'm looking forward to the honor and the privilege of joining your team and contributing towards the laudable achievements you've already made. Lay it on.
Just water them. So that
water them a little.
But that thing doesn't make me look desperate.
No, but be professional about it. Don't be desperate. And then you can now ask. So this is something many people do not do. Ask for an appropriate timeline to follow up on the outcome of the conversation. Right. So, when would be a good time? I understand you probably engage in other candidates. At what point do you think would be good for me to reach out just to find out the outcome of this conversation? And then during the waiting period, by the way, I just completed my XYZ certification. I just thought to let you know, maybe during the interview, this particular certification was still in view. I just want you to know that I'm now a chartered XYZ.
Right.
I know you mentioned that it was a key factor you were looking out for. Something else that may have stood out in the conversation. I know during the interview you mentioned that you like someone who resides within close proximity to XYZ area. After the interview, I asked around and I have a fair idea of what the rents around that area is, just to let you know that I'm open to relocation.
Right.
Those kind of follow-up conversations that make it seem natural and not like you're stalking them.
But what if after all of these things, I still don't get hired, I don't get employed, I don't get a response? What do I do?
So yes, sometimes after doing everything you can do, it doesn't work out, I'll keep on saying, see, do you know how many regrets emails I've gotten in this my lifetime? Look, dust it off, move on. Maybe that wasn't for you. Sometimes some of the jobs I was hoping and praying for, I really wanted this job, I didn't get it. Later on, I found out I got something better along the line. So, and I'll give you this inside information, right? Sometimes, sad as it sounds, right? Sometimes the interview is just a box ticking exercise. They already have the candidates they want to hire. They just want to make a show of we went through a recruitment process, a fair, transparent recruitment. Maybe there's an internal candidate. Maybe somebody on the panel had a candidate that they are pushing for. So it was not even about you.
Right.
So I just want to say that to everyone listening, that sometimes it may not be about you. You may have been the most suitable, the most qualified person for the role, but Naija we did, you just, you didn't get it because not by any flaw or fault of yours, it just wasn't yours.
So you just need to keep pushing,
keep at it. And like I said, it's a numbers game. So there's, when you do probability, so if you apply for 50 jobs, the probability is that you get called for 30.
Right.
You go for 30 interviews, the probability is that you get a job offer for 7. You get 7 job offers ahead, the probability is that you have 2 left,
right,
that you have to choose from. So keep at it, don't get discouraged, and the job of yours will be yours.
All right, thank you so much. That's the final one for this week's Career Compass. Till Monday, next Monday again at 10. Excited to learn some more things. Just in case you're looking for a job or you're trying to employ someone, we have the almighty HR Patrick here to make sure that you do everything right. We need you to get that money in 2025. Yes. And like he said, finally, rejection is not the end. Learn from your mistakes. Thank you so much, Patrick. How can people follow you? I mean, I do know that some people want to learn some more about do's and don'ts.
Yeah, look me up on LinkedIn, Patrick UMO, Instagram, Patrick_UMO, Facebook, Patrick UMO. Where else? YouTube, Patrick UMO.
Okay, we get
everywhere. Just Google Patrick UMO everywhere. X, Threads, Instagram, Patrick UMO. That's me.
All right. This is Base 101.1 FM, Lagos City. My name is Chacha. Wait, I have some kids in the studio.
My crew, my supporters.
I want to hear. Wait. I wanted to ask something. So just move this.
All right.
I want to ask a question. Nathaniel and Victor, get closer to Mike. Nathaniel, have you ever been to an interview before?
No.
Okay, so like people always ask, what do you want to be in future? What do you want to do, Nathaniel?
I want to be HR.
What about Victor?
The only science student in my family. I want to become a neurosurgeon in future.
Mado, okay. I think I'm just gonna wrap up. Thank you so much. You must be a HR. Don't be smart, we get them plenty. Hope you've learned. So now, from what he said, what would you do as a HR?
I don't even know.
Because that is a HR person. Okay, we love it. This is Base 101.1 FM.
You're listening to Career Compass with Patrick and Chacha on Base 101.1 FM.